Hello, accounting superstars. This is Professor Don Bush from the Accounting Superstar channel. So glad you're here. I've been a professor for about 30 years and a CPA for about that long, and I've got great ways to explain accounting, so you're in the right place. So today's lesson is a big one. Today's lesson is activity-based costing. And I remember years and years ago when it first came out in about the mid 80s, late 80s, something like that. And it caused a lot of confusion. There were a lot of accountants that couldn't make heads or tails of it. But once you get the hang of it, it's really, really easy, super easy. I got to meet the person that invented activity-based costing. His name is Robert Kaplan, and a really cool guy. He's a professor at Harvard, and really a nice guy. And he's actually one of the reasons why I became a professor. I thought he was a really neat person. So, anyways, here we go. Oh, hey, before we start here, a couple of things. I've got a webpage. It's called accountingsuperstars.com. It's got all these videos by topic, so check them out. That way you can find the videos easier. Also, I've got a picture here of Regis. This is where I teach. I teach in Denver, Colorado, and I live up in the mountains, a beautiful spot in the mountains. It's not too far from Red Rocks Amphitheater, and it's usually about 10 to 20 degrees cooler than Denver, which is nice during the summertime, not so nice during the wintertime. But anyways, let's get started. So here's what's happening with the Sunset Sailboat Company. The Sunset Sailboat Company makes these beautiful sailboats. Well, they make a lot of different sailboats. They make small sailboats, medium-sized sailboats, and large custom-built sailboats. And here's a picture of their 25-foot sailboats. And these aren't actually Sunset Sailboat Company photos. I think this one's a Catalina sailboat, and I'm not sure what kind of sailboat that one is. But you get the idea, all right? Sunset Sailboat Company is a made-up company. And so I'm just including these photos just to give you an idea of what a 25-foot sailboat looks like. So here's what's going on with Sunset Sailboat Company. It's been building these 25-foot sailboats for years, and they're very popular. People love these boats, and they're called a production boat, meaning there's no customization. They just pump out these boats as fast as they can and sell them to the public, but the public loves them. And SSC, the Sunset Sailboat Company, loves making them. So, but the problem is that the Sunset Sailboat Company doesn't believe they're making very much money on these sailboats. So they're thinking about maybe shutting down the 25-foot production line, which would be really pretty awful because people just love these boats. In fact, the 25-foot sailboat, I think this Catalina sailboat right here, I think that's one of the most popular sailboats ever made. And I used to own one of these 25-foot Catalinas, and it was a wonderful boat until a tree fell on it. I'm not joking. A tree fell on it and crushed it. So anyways, a little bad luck there. But I think I'll get another sailboat. So here's what's happening, guys. Here is some information. Okay, we'll need to know this. So this information is provided by the cost accountant. The Sunfish, that's the name of the 25-foot sailboat, the Sunfish. So the Sunfish wholesale price to boat dealers is $66,000. So the Sunset Sailboat Company sells this boat to dealers and people that sell boats for $66,000. They're not cheap, all right? Average direct labor hours to build one sailboat. These are the direct labor. These are the people that actually work on the boat. It takes 300 hours to build one of these boats. Average direct material cost to build one Sunfish, $19,500 for the fiberglass and the mast and all the other materials that go into it. And the average direct labor rate per hour, including benefits, is $80 per hour. So these people that build these boats, that spend 300 hours a week building these boats from start to finish, they earn $80 an hour, and that includes health benefits and contributions to the 401k and employer payroll taxes and so on and so forth. And now this is a really important number. This is what this lesson's all about right here, this $3 million. The estimated total factory overhead for the year is $3 million. And the estimated total direct labor hours for the year is 50,000 hours. So we're going to use these two bottom numbers here to figure out the overhead cost the old way. All right, the old way, not activity-based costing, but the old way. And I'm showing you the old way because it's taught in books. But also, more importantly, I want to show you guys the reason why activity-based costing might be helpful, might be useful. So here's a guy, looks like he's not very happy, probably the cost accountant. And he's saying here, because we've always done it this way. Well, I remember when I was working my way through college like a million years ago. And I was working at a construction site, and I asked one of the old guys who was a really, really, really good plumber. He was a master plumber, one of the coolest guys I ever worked with. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you do it this way? And he thought about it for a minute, and then he kind of gave me a grumpy look and said, because we've always done it this way. So he didn't have a very good reason. But anyway, so why is Sunset Sailboat Company doing it the old way? Because we've always done it this way, all right? But the problem is that the old times are changing. Instead of using a lot of direct labor nowadays, people are using a lot more machines and robots, and labor is still very important, but it's not as important as it once was. So the old way might be a little obsolete. So here's the old way. Estimated total factory overhead divided by total direct labor hours equals the predetermined overhead rate. So in your cost accounting class or your managerial accounting class, you've probably already heard about this, all right? And if you haven't, here you go. By now you should know it though. All right, so they're going to take the estimated total factory overhead, which is that $3 million right up here, and divide it by the total direct labor hours, which is 50,000 hours, grand total. So coming down here, so old ways won't open new doors. All right. So here's the old way. We're still on the old way. So here's the overhead per direct labor hour. So I told you the $3 million divided by the 50,000 hours is going to equal $60 per hour. All right. So what they're doing is they're allocating overhead to the various boats, like the 25-foot Sunfish. Now coming down here, here's pictures of some guys working on boats. These guys don't look like they're working too hard, but this guy certainly is. He's polishing a boat. And so anyways, calculate the total estimated average cost to build one sailboat. So I've got to split the screen so we can see the top. Here we go. So here's the information, that original information. The number of hours to build one Sunfish. 300 hours. Got it right from the chart, right up here, 300 hours. There we go. And the direct labor rate is $80 an hour. Got that from right here. And the direct material cost, $19.5. Got that from right there. And the predetermined factory overhead rate, $60. And that came from right here. Okay. And we're going to multiply that $60 per hour times 300 hours, that's the direct labor, same number is right up there, to equal 18,000. So the cost, the total cost to build one Sunfish, one 25-foot Sunfish, is $61,500. All right, so let's calculate the profitability here. And this is at wholesale prices, folks. This is not retail. So they're only making, at least they think here, making $4,500 profit, or a 7% profit. And at wholesale, that's not that great, all right? Not that great. So we've got to figure things out here. So here's a couple of interiors. Now, the picture on the left-hand side, that's the interior of a 25-foot Catalina sailboat, and they all look the same. They're production boats. There's no customization. If you look at any 25-foot sailboat from about the 1980s, 1990s, they look identical to this, and that's because I used to have one. In fact, the same cloth here. Sometimes the cloth would come in, cushions would come in different colors, but that is pretty much it. Now on the right-hand side, this is a custom-built sailboat. This is a great big boat. This might be 35 foot, a 35-foot sailboat. So you can see that there's a lot more going on in here, and a lot more opportunity for customization. Like you can see a radio here, a sink. The bathroom's back in here. There's going to be a big stove. It looks like there's some sort of cooking thing over here. So anyways, the point of this is with the 25-foot sailboat, this is what you get. All right, they're not going to customize it. And with the larger boats, a lot of customization. Let's get on with activity-based costing. Why might we want to use activity-based costing? Well, it may provide more accurate information on overhead. The downside is it's a lot more work, and you can see this poor young accountant right here buried in paperwork. Her head's getting smashed by the paperwork here. So one thing that's kind of fun about making these videos is including all these goofy pictures. So anyways, activity-based costing, we might get way more accurate information, which is a good thing, because with accurate information, with good information, we can make good decisions. All right. The downside, it's a lot of work. All right. And since it is a lot of work, there are a lot of companies not willing to do activity-based costing. There's a little level of sophistication here too. It's not easy. So here's what's going on here. In the old way, we were just applying overhead with direct labor. You know, the more direct labor there is, the more overhead we'll apply. And with activity-based costing, we're going to divide up what happens in the factory into major activities, things that drive the overhead, things that cause the overhead. And with the Sunset Sailboat Company, they happen to come up with these different things, these different activities that cause overhead. And I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they've come up with six different activities that cause overhead. And there's a name that they give this. They call them activity pools or cost pools, that kind of thing. So overhead activity like production, you know, on the production line. And they feel, after thinking about this for quite a bit, and maybe even doing some studies, maybe regression analysis. Maybe you've learned about regression analysis in your math class or accounting class, statistics maybe. And they found that, wow, the thing that drives the overhead in the production are the machine hours. You know, the more we run the machines, the more production overhead we have. We have more depreciation. We have to use more grease and oil on the machines. We have more repairs to the machines. The machines require more electricity to run, so that kind of makes sense. And then machine setups. Now, machine setups in factories can be expensive and take up a lot of time, and they usually require the expertise of people who have been working in the factory for a very long time, you know, your master mechanics and that kind of thing. So so the machine setups, and it's the number of setups that they have to do. Now with the Sunfish, they probably don't have to set up the machines very often. They probably just set them up once and run a whole bunch of Sunfish sailboats through the production line. But on the other hand, if they're doing custom boats, that might be a different story. They may require a lot of different setups. Quality control, well, that's another activity that causes overhead. They have an inspector that goes around and makes sure that the sailboats are being built right. And with that, it's the number of inspections that really drive that. Now with the Sunfish, since it's a production sailboat, you know, they make these sailboats day in, day out. They're the same thing every day. So the workers are really good at making them. On the other hand, the larger custom-built sailboats, they require a whole lot of inspections, like to make sure that the radios work, make sure the radar units work, and all the electrical components work properly. The larger sailboats are much more complex, so require a lot more inspections. And they want to inspect these boats because they don't want these boats to get out to the customer and be defective. That would be awful. Material purchases, the number of purchase orders. I used to work a long time ago in a purchasing department. It was a really fun job. And if you're not majoring in accounting, purchasing is a really great career choice. What you do in purchasing is you shop. You get to shop for things. And sometimes it's a lot of fun, and sometimes you have to contact a lot of vendors and see who has the best price, and see who has the best equipment, and see who can offer you the best terms, see who can ship it the quickest, all that kind of stuff. And it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And so, but this is all time consuming, and purchasing agents are not cheap. They have a very important job. And so the number of purchase orders is what drives this. The more purchase orders, the busier the purchasing agents are. Now with the Sunfish, the 25-foot Sunfish, they don't require very many purchase orders. In fact, it's very routine. I mean, anybody could figure out how to purchase the materials for the Sunfish because they've done it for the last several years, and it's always the same thing. They always know where to get the fiberglass. They always know where to get the seat cushions. They know it's just very routine. However, with the custom-built sailboats, the large sailboats, not so routine. Maybe a customer wants a certain marine radio or a certain sink or a certain television in their boat. Some of these larger boats even have washers and dryers in them, microwaves. So there would be purchase orders for all these things. So the large boats require a lot of purchase orders. Engineering and design, well, the number of engineering change orders, that is changing a boat from, a standard boat to a custom-built boat. And the angelfish, the Sunfish doesn't require very many engineering change orders, if any, because they're just building the same thing over and over and over again. But with the custom boats, whenever there's a major change in the customization of the boat, the engineers have to get involved and make sure that the structure of the boat is sound and make sure that the wiring can be run where it needs to be run. So the engineers have to really look into the customizations. Defect repair. We hope we don't have this, but once in a while this happens. And with the Sunfish sailboats, the 25-foot sailboats, since they're production boats, the people working on the line become very, very good at making these boats. And there's rarely ever any defects with these. However, with the custom sailboats, sometimes it can happen where something's not working quite right. Like maybe the marine radio or the radar unit's not working as it should, or the navigation GPS isn't working. And so Sunset Sailboat Company has to go in there and fix them. Fix the problems. So the problems usually happen with the larger sailboats, the customized sailboats. And they try to keep it to the mistakes to a minimum, though. All right, so coming down the page here, here's what they found out for the year. Here's what's going on. And this is a real key thing here. And this was probably the work of the cost accountant, probably the engineers, the people on the factory floor, management. So a lot of work went into this little spreadsheet thing right here. So here are the different boats that Sunset Sailboat Company makes. They make a 15-foot Swordfish, a 22-foot Kingfish, which is really popular, and the 25-foot Sunfish, which people love, and the 32-foot Angelfish. Now, the 32-foot Angelfish, that's the custom boat. All right, they customize those. Now, with the 15-foot Swordfish, they make 80 of them. With the 22-foot Kingfish, they make 50. Sunfish, 40. Angelfish, not so many, 14 of them. And so what we've done is we've made a chart of the different activities going on, like machine hours. And you might say, well, where's this information coming from? It's coming right from here. In fact, what I'll do is I'll split the screen here so we can see where this information is coming from. So here we are. Now we can see it. So machine hours, got that from right up here. Do you see that? So machine hours. All right, total number of setups, same thing, right from up here. So here's what they found out from all this work, all these people involved. And by the way, these are estimates for the coming year. Now, how do they estimate for the coming year? They probably based a lot of it on what happened last year and changes they think that's happening this year. So machine hours, well, since they're making 80 of these 15-foot boats, it's going to require a lot of machine hours. And you know what? Even though they're not making very many of the angelfish, they're only making 14. Those boats are so big and so complex and customized that they require a lot of machine hours also. Now the sunfish, since they've been building those sunfishes for years, they're identical, not so many machine hours. They crank those things out. And the 25-foot sunfish is it's not bare bones a sailboat, but there's not a lot to them, okay? They're not into the frills, you might say. All right, so the total number of setups, these are machine setups. Got this from right here. Not very many setups for the 15-foot swordfish. They set up the machines and they crank these out. Same thing with the kingfish and the sunfish. Angelfish, a lot of machine setups because they're customized. Total number of inspections, got that from right here. All right, 30 for the 15-footer, 25 inspections for the 22-foot boat. Only 10 inspections, again, because it's production. But a lot of inspections for the angelfish. Grand total of 125 inspections. Number of purchase orders, very few for the swordfish. There's not much that goes on a 15-foot sailboat. A mast, the hull, that's about it. Rudder. The 22-foot kingfish, more parts are needed, so more purchase orders needed. Sunfish, they just crank these out. However, the 32-foot angelfish, man, a lot of purchase orders because those people, they want their boat customized. They want special seat cushions. They want special port lights. They want special navigation equipment. So the purchasing department is really busy with the angelfish. That's where most all the time goes. Engineering change orders, they may possibly have one for the swordfish, maybe 3 for the upcoming year for the kingfish. The engineers will maybe have 1 change order for the sunfish. Maybe they're going to change a feature for the sunfish, and the engineers need to look into it. And the 32-foot sailboat, man, lots of engineering change orders because these people want their boat customized. Maybe they want the kitchen in a different location. Maybe they want, who knows, a different type of mast or something. Who knows what. And service requests, only 3 for the swordfish. Not much can go wrong with those. 5 for the 22-footer, and usually they're expecting maybe 3 at most for the sunfish. But 15 for the angelfish because those boats are very complex. All right, so we've got totals here. Now these totals are going to be important. So we're going to come down to the next page. So here we go. So here are the different activities. And you might say, where are you getting this stuff? Well, production. Here we go. Right there. It's right there. Machine setup. Right here. So it's the exact same stuff. So here you go. Now here's something really important. You want to catch this. They believe that the total overhead for the coming year is going to be $3 million. Okay, $3 million bucks. And folks, that is the same estimate that we had at the beginning of this whole problem. Right there. There it is. In fact, I'm going to highlight it in a different color just so it stands out a little bit more. How about this in that greeny color? There we are. Those two numbers are the same. You see, the total amount of overhead is not going to change. It doesn't matter how you do your overhead allocation. You could do it the old way. You could do it activity-based costing, or you could think of another way. but your total overhead's going to be the same. And this is an estimate. It's a guess for the coming year. So that has not changed. That's a really important thing to know. But anyways, production, they think that'll come to $2,165,000. Machine setup, about $150,000 they'll spend on that. Quality control, about $125,000. That's mostly for the salary for the inspector. Purchasing department, $175,000. That's mostly for the purchasing agent. But it's also for travel and all kinds of other stuff. Engineering design, that's pretty much the engineers. And defect repair. So they'll spend $160,000 on trying to fix stuff for people. So it all adds up to $3 million. So ladies and gentlemen, so here's where activity-based costing gets rocking and rolling. So what we've done so far is come up with estimates for different cost pools and activities that happen in the factory that drive overhead. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these numbers right up here, right here. I'll highlight them for you. We're going to take those numbers and we're going to copy them right down here. So you might ask, why did you copy them down there? It sounds like busy work here. Well, you don't have to. We could combine this upper chart and this lower chart together because it's all the same stuff, right? Now the total activity here, what we're going to do here is go back up to this chart right here. We were just looking at that. And what we'll do is we'll copy these bottom line numbers here and put them right in over here. All right, so we'll take these numbers right there. I put it in kind of a gold color, and we're going to put them right down here. There we go. Look at that. So all we're doing is we're getting our information together here. So that 14,250, 14,250, 23, 125, 125, so on and so forth. So it's all copied down. Now, all we're going to do is just do a little division. All we'll do is take the dollars, divide it by the activity. So 2,165,000 divided by the activity. And so what you get here is $152. And what that represents is that's the overhead per machine hour. All right. So for every hour that production line is running, it's going to be $152 that they'll add in for overhead. And 150,000 divided by 23, we get 6,522. So machine setups. So each and every machine setup costs $6,522. It's expensive to get that production line ready to change over to a new boat. If we went from building the 15-foot boats to the 25-foot boats, it's expensive. So you don't want to do that too often. You want to avoid it. So anyway, so you just do division here, guys. 125 divided by 125 is $1,000 per inspection. All right? They really inspect those boats. So here we go. So folks, look at this, defect repair. On average, it costs $6,154 to repair a defect. Now, some of the defects are really simple, nothing to them. Other defects can be really pretty big. And so you don't want these defects. You want to build it right the first time. And some of these defects might be that maybe the teak wood on the deck wasn't right or something. Who knows? So I put these in really big, bold print here because they are very, very important. So coming down here. So here we have kind of like Superman here. Activity-based costing to the rescue. So here's what's happening. When we first started this problem, we found out that the 25-foot sailboat was not doing so well. Here's the 25-foot sailboat. If you recall, they were making a gross profit of $4,500, which was a 7% gross profit. Not very good. And so they're thinking, oh boy, should we get rid of the 25-foot sailboat. So here's where we figure this out. Sunfish total activity. So where do we get that? Here's where we get it. Right here. We're going to focus on the sunfish right here. I'll put that in a nice green color, okay, so it stands out. So in other words here, the machine hours here, 2,000 machine hours. All right, I'm just copying these numbers down. 4 setups, inspections, 10 inspections, purchase orders, probably about 10 purchase orders. So I'm taking numbers right off the chart. That's all I'm doing. And customer service requests, they estimate 3 of those. All right. Now the activity rate, we just figured that out a minute ago. Here we go. There it is. There's the activity rate here. I even have a star here next to it. Look at that activity rate, because this is the key right here. So we'll drop down 152. And you might be saying, where's the 152 come from? Well, it comes from right there. Let me put that in a different color so things don't get confusing. And then setups, 6,522 comes from right here. So let's drop that into place. Okay, so we just copy these numbers down. There we go. All right, so let's figure out the grand total overhead for the sunfish. So we're just going to go 2,000 hours of activity, or 2,000 machine hours, times 152 per machine hour. Very expensive. Setups, 4 times 6,522. 10 times 1,000, 10,000 bucks. Purchase orders, 10 of them at 1,336 each. And change orders, 1 at $9,000. And customer service requests, and these are estimates, of course. We don't know exactly for sure. So the grand total overhead for the 25-foot sailboats is $3,080,767. I'm going to put that in bold, make that a little bit bigger so it stands out. Okay, so the total estimated overhead, $380,767. All right. So how much overhead is going to get assigned to each and every sunfish on a per sunfish basis? So the total estimated overhead assigned to the sunfish line is what we just figured out. $380,767. Just get it from right up there. And the number of sunfish boats expected to be produced. Well, how many sunfish boats are we building? Where can we find that out? Let's see here. There we go. Right here. Here is where we get the number of sunfish boats. Right there. They expect to build 40 of these. So we'll put those 40 right down here. And we'll do a little division. So this will be the overhead for each and every sunfish. All right. So folks, this is way different than the old way. Doing it the old way, let's see here. Let's find out what it was the old way. Right here, look at this. We were assigning, or they were, total overhead assigned per boat. This is the old way. $18,000, the old way. And if you're wondering, where did we get that number? I think we got it right. Oh, okay. 60 bucks per hour, and the number of hours. Anyways, so we were assigning a lot more overhead to the poor sunfish. There we go, 18,000 using the old way. Now, using activity-based costing, and we hope it's more accurate. We think it'll be a lot more accurate. We're assigning just 9,519. I mean, that's about half. So where's the other overhead going? It's probably going to the big 32-foot boat that's so complicated. That's where most of the overhead is going. All right, so let's calculate the total cost to build a Sunfish using activity-based costing. All right, the direct labor hours, same as above. That doesn't change. 300. The labor rate, that doesn't change. And so the total labor cost doesn't change. Materials, that doesn't change either. Look at that, stays the same. 19.5 for the materials. However, the overhead assigned, that is different. We're going to assign 9,519 using activity-based costing. So here we go. 9,519. So the whole total cost to build a Sunfish, 53,019. Compared to using the old way of doing it, 61,500. That's quite a difference. So let's see here. Here's the old profitability. This is using the old way, the old profitability. Well, let's figure out what the new profitability is. So are we making a profit? So the wholesale price, that's not going to change. Get it from right there. Not changing a bit. Total estimated cost to build the Sunfish. Well, we're going to get that from right here. This is the new method. Right there is where we're getting the number 53,019. Put that right into place here. 53,019. And so the gross profit is going to be 66,000 minus 53,019. So look at this, folks. The gross profit here is quite a bit bigger using activity-based costing than it was using the old method. So let's figure out the percentages. Now, wholesale price, it's just 100%, just like up above, 100%. And then to find the estimated cost percentage, 53,019 divided by the wholesale price, 80%. So gross profit per Sunfish is 20%. Now, management is still going to have to figure out, well, is 20% good enough for us? Do we want to keep the Sunfish? Do we want to still keep that Sunfish line? So that's still a decision that they need to make. But hopefully, this 20% is a more accurate number than the old way. Now, you got to understand that in this case here, in this problem that we did, that it turned out that the Sunfish is doing better than they originally thought. Is this always the case with activity-based costing? Absolutely not. You know, they could have just as easily have found out, wow, the Sunfish is losing us money, right? The Sunfish is a total waste of time, but that it didn't end up that way. So don't think that if you use activity-based costing, your profitability will increase. Not the case. Hopefully you'll have a more accurate picture of what the profitability is. Now, also, if the profitability of the Sunfish is better than we thought, then what this means is the profitability of some of the other boats may not be as good as we thought. So we would want to redo this for the other boats. And I have a feeling that the profitability for the big giant 32-foot angelfish is not going to be as good as they thought. Let's go look at that right here. Here's the big 32-foot angelfish. And the reason why I'm saying that is, look at this. The number of purchase orders for a big giant Sunfish. Here, I'll put it in a... I don't know if that color comes through very well here on your computer, but angelfish, man, they have a lot of purchase orders. And the number of inspections, way more here than any of the other boats. And total customer service requests, way more than... So look at this. Change orders, engineering change orders. So I have a feeling that if they were to use activity-based costing on the 32-foot angelfish, I would think that it is not going to be as profitable as they once thought. But maybe it's still pretty darn profitable. Who knows? But using activity-based costing, when you're using a lot of machines and robots and equipment, could be a more accurate way to determine overhead than the old way. So anyways, I hope that this lesson helped you out. And if you're confused at this point on activity-based costing, you're probably normal, which is a good thing. So go back and watch this video another time or two. I know this video's been a long video, but go back, watch it another time or two, and you'll get it. It's not that hard. Once I saw how to do it, once the light turned on, it was like, this is easy, nothing to this. But I got to tell you, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it really confused the accounting profession. There were a lot of articles trying to sort this out in accounting. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helped. And hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That way YouTube knows that you like this. I know you like this, and I'll keep making more of these videos for you. And check out accountingsuperstars.com. That way you can look up these videos by topic. A lot easier for you. So until next time, over and out.